Hey, thank you all for coming out tonight. It's a real pleasure and delight to see people in person and both on this side of the bay and also in this space where I think I've walked by here many, many times, and until a couple months ago when I came to check it out, had never been inside. So hopefully we'll be able to do some things going forward here as well at the East Bay Media Center. So I'd like to thank that crew, Mel and Paul, for inviting us in. And tomorrow night, most of you will know, Chris Nealon will be giving the annual, I think it's the 36th annual George Oppen Memorial Lecture in this space, 7-ish. And I hope every one of you will be back tomorrow night that are here in the live audience, and of course those of you out in wherever you are, in your homes, etc., can tune in tomorrow night as well. And same channel, same time. And a total delight to have Chris back in the Bay and visiting from the East Coast. And many of you know him. He's professor of English at Johns Hopkins, author of 2 books of literary criticism, Foundlings, Lesbian and Gay Historical Emotion Before Stonewall, and The Matter of Capital, Poetry and Crisis in the American Century. And he lives in Washington, D.C. with his husband and son. So let's welcome Chris Nealon.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody here. Hi, everybody here. I'm really nervous that I'm going to traumatize you all when I take off my mask. It just seems so crazy, but here we go. Okay, now I'm going to... Yeah, I would like to do that, I think. Is it a slider? Awesome. Okay. It is a really lovely thing to be here. I'm so grateful for the invitation, both for today and tomorrow. And it's really great to see you all. Some of you after a very, very long time, and that feels really special. Is this working okay? Can you all hear me fine? Okay. One of my time aphasias from the pandemic is I think I lost that skill you develop as a poet, which is like, oh yeah, it's a 30-minute reading, that's this much poetry. But I think I've figured it out okay. So I'm going to read from a new book that is either, I can't quite tell, it's either called All About You or All About You or something. It has an epigraph. It starts with, I'm going to read a portion of it, from George Stanley. And then what I'm going to do is, the first poem in the book is sort of like the poems I guess I've been writing over the last several years. It's a slightly longer poem. Then there's a bunch of short ones, and then one sort of like medium-sized one. And if I'm right, it'll take me 25 minutes, maybe, something like that. So this epigraph for the book from George is, whatever this place is that we will not admit to each other we have discovered is all there is. And this is called I'm In. Half already living in the new way, half attached to disregarded promises. We seem to have gotten lost on the way to the club. I blame Donald. He and Mike got me into this. Making our way down the middle of an unlit street through a landscape, partly city, partly open plain. Late night party sounds from living rooms, empty lots and uncapped sewers. It's hard to tell what's occupied and what's abandoned. Adam loops around us on his bike, saying, just a couple blocks. Look out! Dead cat. It's undecayed, but plastered to a hump in the grass. Its tail curls pointedly toward an open hole. We peer down into it, but Carrie tugs my sleeve and murmurs, live dog? Pitbull watching from the porch. No leash, no gate. I startle, but he smiles. Later at the bar, he says, yeah, I work in the Tenderloin. I'm always on the lookout for whether things are dead or alive. California seems so far away. Absently, he snaps a button on his cowboy shirt. Then he takes a candy wrapper out of his pocket and says, "We should use this," nodding at the darkened door. It's a ticket. Gold foil? I shine my phone light on it. Tiny iridescent lines of text flash out. He lets another button go, and I'm in. This is the work of memory. When you are about to die, go down to the well-built house of Hades. There is a spring on the right side, and standing by it, a white cypress. Do not even go near that spring. The guards will ask you what you are seeking in the darkness. Say, "I am a child of earth and starry sky. I am parched with thirst, and I am dying. Please grant to give me water from the lake." The poem about the body, and the poem above the body. The way you're in one place, and the way you're on a journey. And maybe I'm just someone who runs errands. Before I traveled to New Orleans, I drove back home to Western New York State, the land of the dead. Watery coffee in the cup holder, funeral suit in the trunk. Is it a road trip if you're alone? Chargers and Mustangs. Chargers and Mustangs. Halfway there and going 85, you're really in the headspace. That guy from Kentucky wants to mess with you, but don't take the bait. His license plate reads "all nuts." Starting out from Washington was slow. I caught the scent of marshland in a tiny paradise near BWI. Paradise for what? A doe. You see one flash behind the trees. All that muscle built from chomping leaves. And at the marsh's center, nowhere you could step. You'd have to melt or somersault into another form. Traffic picks up and bam, it's Pennsylvania. Back at the bar, we've made it to the other side. Yeji's singing Rain Girl. The documentarians are draped on couches and snuggling in love seats. They don't seem to hang out with the feature people. There's a lot of pirates in here and medieval whites and bon vivants and stripper costumes. Wait, how do you dress like... PJ and I agree that jumpsuits are hot, but why? Telena, body length zippers, hello. The couches are velvet and the walls deep red. Donald and I start comparing notes on that Twin Peaks reboot. I was grossed out by the whole time loop thing at the end. It just felt like Lynch not owning up to his Manichaeism. And haven't we reached peak dead girl? Sorry, criticism creeping into poetry. What does Vivaldo tell Ida in Another Country? I'm just a fucked up group of people. I am a two-part person writing out of incompatible moods. It's planning to rock now. With passerine agility, the living and the dead gavotte from room to room. I feel low to the ground, but peopled. The disaster has already happened, and everyone knows it will come again. I turn to Adam and I ask him, "So do you like it here?" He grins at me and says, "It's the best place on earth." God. Church. I grew up in this sanctuary, straining to hear a sound. It was Vatican II, but Operation Rescue. When my dad couldn't drive anymore, my mother would take us to Burger King for an hour and make up a homily afterward. But I loved my Uncle Art, and I'm glad to have something to offer. Brothers and sisters, it begins. We know that if our earthly dwelling, a tent, should be destroyed, we have another building, a dwelling not made with hands. Paul moved around a lot. On Google Maps, it looks like it would take you 18 hours to get from Corinth to Ephesus. This route has tolls, includes a ferry ride, crosses a country border. Now I feel bad that I edited his letter. Let me put the God back in. Looking down at the assembled, I can see the front door open. To see the light is almost to walk down the aisle. I could so easily have been that priest after services on some broad lawn in a summer breeze, thinking with satisfaction how the Lord made the birches. But I'm on the road back home. It's not the flooding, is it? Or the fires. It's not the mass extinction. It's what kind of struggle will this be? And what will we become? What I mean is, will the terminal pressure on the way the rich make us make value pit us all against each other? Also, will we mutate fast enough? The Goldilocks in me is always trying to imagine a remediated future where everything is just the right price. The Christian wears me down by always asking me to poke through the material world. I've driven myself half crazy thinking I can sift out what's the redemptive part and what's the hell. But not tonight. Outside, through the door, behind the door, a zombie's buying barbecue for 20 girls in firefighter costumes. Between two DJ sets, you can hear the karaoke down the street. It's like there's no pure silence. My fears are talking smack about my dreams, but I'm not listening. I have been to lots of parties, in expensive capitals and God-forsaken little towns. I have found myself at the impossible point where the cyclone meets the counter-cyclone. Have you ever had that feeling where there's just about no difference between being ready to dance and ready to go to the wall? When those chords break through, I know that I am not a two-part person, and neither are you. You are something unforeseeable, something that sings. Oh, my friends, it's going down, and we may not survive, but liberation beckons in all things. This next little stretch is from, I guess it's a sequence of short poems, and that's the title sequence in the book. It says just all called All About You. And I feel weird about them because, like maybe a lot of us experience this in one way or another, but they, compared to the things I was trying to write about and think about in poetry in the last many years, these feel so internal and quiet. And I appreciate the chance to try to figure out how to read them to you and make them audible, because I think there's things in them. but they are different, so we'll see. Anyway, so this is the start of that sequence, All About You. What is it? A stream. If streams were made of grains of pollen, almost fragrant, faintly tart, your body moving actually and astrally. I never brag in poetry, but what are these moments if not the ones in which I know what I'm a part of? Void. A ripple with a brain, just sparks, stars. Okay, maybe not the void. That's more a debate than a thing. Emergence, maybe. I do leave fading tracks, or tracks appear before me as I walk, shapes of letters, shapes of thoughts. Are you all at once, or in the midst, or on your way? When the valve opens up, your body hides behind a tree, but the valve's behind your body. You can't tell what tumbles out. Prisms, dandelions, crumpled cloth that needs unbunching. I do like writing. I mean, handwriting. I mean, writing by hand. Fog. The needle today wavers indifferently. Beauty, not beauty. The median and mode of your days. impassive sky against your forehead, blocking any chance of feeling eager, but also dulling greed. Something approaches in the lull. Not exactly beauty, but the chance of an answer to your yes or no question. The 8 balls icosahedron. Am I even suited to this? Writing to save your life, pushing on past every clumsy letter, hoping for a flower? The magic 8 ball contains a 20-sided die with 10 positive answers, 5 negative answers, and 5 vague responses. Shake it. Shake it. That's your sense of form. Crashing on a friend's couch, like you're 20 again. You wake at dawn. It's spring. That thing, connected to the rest of your life, to life. Rise like a star is offered you, and you don't know why. You flex your hand, so alien, but pulsing. Why aren't all poems nature poems? What are poems of deeds? The temperature rising, the hemisphere resuming, whatever you are, the groan in your body, the shift in the season, like a ward come open, locks allowing boats to pass. Muladhara, that bum's chakra, up for anything. Early mornings by the circle window, thumbing through that journal. Your writing is a wash. A wash of movement, ascenders and descenders. You flip back through seasons of your funny scrawl. It's spidery and overeager, but it has integrity, a child's sense that maybe 10 degrees is a good tilt for the hand, that knot of education down in the muscle, carrying the thoughts along, or rhythms. Is this humming? Woodsman hum. You play with duration, matching it with vowels peeling. April had a higher ceiling. More assonance than average, a tilt of maybe 10 degrees, like your funny angle on America built on westbound flights. Relief from paranoia brought by melody. Here comes Gregory, or there he goes. Keening his outro high above the body of the song. That end of the novel feeling, no, don't go. Rue de pas. Pam, we're scattered now and long past education. Way over yonder in the minor key. Remember how you used to hear it as the monarchy? What a wonderful invention. And what a beautiful word, yonder. No way, you think. I cannot be that field of daisies. Foolishly, you try to run across it, fragrance drifting up from underfoot, forth and forth as it eludes you, sight becoming scent, time, space, the air, the sun itself. You gasp. Then you vertex back into position, still a little warmer than the sage was, the vetiver, whose mild infinity you exhale. High style, the deep from which all talk begins. Stephanie made you laugh about that. Oh shit, you think, and back your way out of the party, blurting out bad news again. The darkening sky is immense, consoling. You lean against the rail. Freedom, you hum. Though you see 6 hours from now your mind in bumper-to-bumper traffic. You live in two worlds. In one, to survive is always to be tugging at a cat's cradle built of value. You pull on it at somebody's expense or tilt forward to cut them some slack. This involves a constant diet of self-excuse and self-recrimination. It breeds perplexity and fear and a general application of cotton to the ears. In the other world, people know what the hell is going on. It makes you generous and unafraid. Sure, you say, you could keep flogging the singularity, but I know you are lonely out in Menlo Park. You go back to redirect the course of history, appearing at that cafe table just in time to muffle Auden saying, "Poetry makes nothing." Coming down off time travel, it's a little bit like coming home from work. Low on electrolytes, you lay down your scythe. Wasn't that a lily, you think, as you drift off to sleep? Back in Ithaca, high sky, luring you as ever up to Toronto. Vectors, feathers, chevrons, something in meridians. They make you feel like what? Like your body isn't quite your home, like you better go hollow your bones. No, you were always a weirdo, but at least you know the secret meanings. Morning shivers, birds depart in waves. Goodbye, you cry. And text me when you get there. Whatever demigod October is, looks down on you, bemused. Not indifferent, just, it's funny what you think you are. Maybe being just a little bit inhuman makes you a better person. Out of place in every domicile, but loving feeling regional. Just an early March. Like every 7 days, a pixel of the kind of fresh perception that kept Ode to Psyche going. Morning, barely blue, only the pines with anything to show. You'll take what you can get. Heroes and models, that feeling of, wait, how did you do that? And wanting to read it again. Mistaking that for having met them. I never met John Ashbery. Wait, no, he signed my copy of 3 poems in the middle of a blizzard in March 2009. I tried to start a conversation, Couperin, but he just blinked at me with bright blue eyes. Or Schuyler, he sweeps you up in the morning of the poem on the poem's far coast. You're 50 that day, and you wonder if you'll ever write anything so beautiful and grumpy. Poor trees, staring blankly. You've got the wrong spell, but they are patient. Late March of 1967. You were just a pixel then, en route from July, fresh from the spray, from a place you've never been. July in the pines. Am I doing okay on time? I really have lost it totally, that sense of, okay. Dull gray, break of day, food for honesty. You nod in the general direction of all your foolishness, your arrogance, your miscalculation. At 15 in Binghamton, looking around at the lawyers and thinking, I am out of here. I'm going to get a short haircut and listen to 80s music. Day by day, your beard gets gray. It links you to your beardless grandpa in the Gulf of Naples, trying to make a go of it with a ferry to Capri. Flash forward 80 years of American hegemony, and you get me, with my whiskers and a pop sensibility. At 24, in Ithaca, quitting after one day of the Gramsci seminar, saying, too many bros. You didn't exactly choose the wrong side. Flash forward 30 years, bros are jamming to Carly Rae Jepsen. And haven't you seen an ultra or two get misty listening to Out of the Woods? But dark days are coming. No, they're here. Yes, there was something dickish about saying, I hate the indifferent, but it's not like he was wrong. At his trial, the prosecutor said, for 20 years, we must stop this brain from functioning. 11 years later, his teeth were gone. He was puking up blood. And still, we got the prison notebooks. Of course, they got another century, and now their great-grandchildren will end up fascist too. But not if I can help it. I have been given too much. At 9, in the craft store, discovering pastels and thinking, this stuff is amazing. Someone should make art with it. At 31, in San Francisco, dropping to your knees in disbelief and gratitude. I am a partisan. I'm alive. And this is the last one. It's a little bit longer. It's called End to End. Something about the way a bicycle can glide you underneath a canopy of trees. Washington, unbeautiful to me. Sorry. But on a warm night in June, with the camera of your body on a dolly, golly. Dusk and relativity, loft and motion, unstick parts of you that had been glued together, the rustle of the mourning doves settling in above, the raucous laughter coming out of Larry's lounge, the youthful beauty of the question, are you staying out all night or headed home to bed? When you say you, you're talking to yourself, but also to something that can never respond, or which speak to you in signs and wonders only. Shallow sleep of summer nights as though you can't get enough of the sun. Long missed friends and pop stars peopling your dreams, and interesting strangers amalgamated from the day. An evening sweat that's mingled with the scent of bay. Some brand, desert essence, in the cavernous bathroom at George and Julia's. Mortality is rich material. The canopy breaks open now when you start to get ahead of yourself, feeling out in front of you, standard American English scurrying along behind. Composing a poem in your head and hoping that the organizing thought is sturdy enough to keep the words in order till you lock your bike and grab a pen. Oh, those one-line strophes, they flirt with logic. Logic's looking good tonight. But there's nothing but joy to hold them together. You fall like flour through a sifter. Starlight pumping your legs. Ajahn Susito says, sometimes the chitta trembles. Have you felt that? Tissue paper in us is us. We're made of layers. Adorno says, philosophy in Hegel rustles and murmurs, which always makes me think of ball gowns. But axially, these trees, creaking, sighing. I think the people in charge of the continuous nerve movie are Italian neorealists. I would like to think that Philip Whalen would laugh at that. And yes, this is a scene of life at the Capitol. Lighting for an instant the forked path of the neurons. What will you choose? I choose philo and phylogenesis, something animal in us, appropriated for the purpose of building a society. Early mornings, people yawning, testing out from under bed sheets their suitedness to teeming life. And time teems. 19th, 18th, 17th streets lined with trees, disclosing evening gloaming. Inside one June night, a whole September. Light of light. Kind because receding. What does it have to lose? It makes space for you. I love reductions in glare. You can see the taupe of the doves. Brick looks handled. Things are clear as miniatures with a whisper of air between them. Dents and buckles in the earth. You walk your portion of it with a socially average amount of swagger, feeling a joy in strength that doesn't need an arrow or a sword. Just this humanness, alert, bipedal. It has no narrative or climax, but it shines out as substance. 3rd Street upon you. Hop off, hoist the frame, lock it to the rail. Still so much activity in the freshly drawn down dark. It glitters somehow. How do these bees know where to go? What is it that bursts from gems? Some late light that you mistake for nothing. You didn't speak a word the whole ride long. And no one would have noticed you flitting past, leaving little gaps in the present, bee-like, making substance of them. Though you can't know that, can you? You were wandering the world, just as you'll forget it ever happened, reaching for your keys, streetlight filtered through the gate of myrtle. Thanks, everybody.